The night it started, rain had just begun to spit onto the neon-slick sidewalks of Dutchman Avenue. Thursday, cheap beer night at Riley's, and I'd stayed later than usual to grade freshman papers over a basket of fries. When I finally pushed through the sticky bar door, my tote bag felt 10 pounds heavier, and the city smelled like wet copper. I remember the chill first, a finger of wind that threaded inside my jacket and grazed my spine. Then headlights swept past, blanching the street in white for half a heartbeat. That's when I noticed him, standing beneath the crosswalk signal across the road, tall, ungodly thin. A charcoal silhouette whose edges looked smudged, as though he'd been drawn in pencil and someone had rubbed an eraser along his outline. No umbrella, no hood, just rain beating on an immaculate black overcoat. The walk sign flashed white. I stepped off the curb. He did too, mirroring my pace. Halfway through, traffic lights flipped and horns blared. I jogged the last few feet, shoes slapping water. He took his time, gliding as though the cars were ghosts. At the opposite curb, I turned left toward the train. He turned left. My stomach nodded, but downtown is crowded. Coincidences happen. I ducked into a bodega for breath mints I didn't need. When I came out, he was paused 3 storefronts down, face tilted toward the flickering vacancy of a shattered street lamp. At the station gate, I swiped my pass, dashed down the slick stairs, and squeezed onto the last southbound car. Doors hissed shut. Relief flooded in, until I saw him again. He was on the opposite platform, motionless, head canting just enough to acknowledge the blur of my carriage passing. No train served that side after 11 p.m. The tracks were dark. He watched me until the tunnels swallowed the world. Subway seats stink of mildew in storm season, and overhead bulbs tend to flicker, but that night each light stroboscoped worse than the last. Car 307 was empty save for a woman scrolling her phone and a man asleep beneath a newspaper. Every few seconds the fluorescence faltered, plunging the coach into a smear of gray where windows became mirrors. That's when I glimpsed him again, in the reflection, sitting 3 rows back, where I knew no one sat. His form bled into the background, a shadow draped across plastic upholstery. When light steadied, he was gone. I fumbled for my phone camera, but we rattled into another blackout. This time he was closer, 2 rows. I heard the faintest sound, like wet cloth peeling from tile. My breath fogged the glass. The woman and the sleeper remained oblivious, faces washed blue by their own private worlds. At Hollow Station, I bolted off, skipping 2 steps at a time. My building was 2 blocks south, a brownstone squeezed between a laundromat and a closed deli. Keys jittered in my fist. Hitting street level, I risked a glance behind. Nothing. No slick black overcoat, no smeared silhouette, just overflowing gutters and the coughing roar of distant traffic. I convinced myself I'd imagined him. The wind hammered my windows most of the night, but I managed sleep. At 7 a.m., my phone chimed. "You have 1 new alert, porch cam." I scrubbed thumb across bleary eyes and opened the app, timestamp 2:27 a.m. My front stoop washed pale in the security light. Raindrops silvered the lens. He walked into frame, slow as moonrise. Paused at my door, tilted his head, listening. Raindrops dotted his shoulders, but never soaked through. He looked more creased than man, like the outline of a human cut from black velvet and pinned against the night. He pressed his palm against the door. For a heartbeat, I imagined I could feel the wood flex. Then he turned away and drifted to the sidewalk, dissolving beyond the camera's reach. I watched the clip 5 times while adrenaline scalded my veins. 2 questions looped. How did he know where I lived? And why didn't he knock? Teaching high school literature rarely equips you for stalking horrors. Yet that day I stood in front of 30 restless teenagers, reciting Poe's The Man of the Crowd, and felt sweat beat along my ribs. Every squeak in the hallway became his shoes. Every reflection in classroom glass begged second looks. During lunch, I scrubbed the porch cam footage in Premiere, frame by frame, 24 FPS, 1080p. But close-ups only blurred harder. The camera seemed to reject detail. His face remained an ellipse of darkness, more absence than presence. That evening I braced for rain, but the sky held back. Still, I felt him watching. I set both porch cam and a new hallway cam to record continuously. Then I waited, grading quizzes with one eye on the window. At 11:42 p.m., the motion chime dinged. Driveway cam. Monitor feed popped. There he was at the far end of the driveway, between my car and motorcycle. He approached my front door, which was the only thing that lay between us. He faced my door, arms loose at his sides like pendulums. The feed glitched. For half a second, static replaced pixels, and when clarity returned, he was 2 doors closer. I dialed 911. Busy signal. Thunder had toppled lines city-wide, the recording said. I jabbed my locks, grabbed a kitchen knife, retreated to the bedroom. Another chime. He stood outside my door now, head inches from the peephole. The lens bent his silhouette into fisheye horror. Slow scratch of metal across wood. Not a knock. He traced patterns on the door's surface, etching circles that squealed like chalkboard shrieks. It lasted maybe 10 minutes. Then silence. When I dared check the monitor, he was gone. Morning revealed 4 concentric circles etched into my front door. If I told my story, nobody would believe it. Most people would probably think it was just kids with nails playing a prank. I declined to file an insurance claim and decided that I'd handle repairs. I spent Saturday researching folklore. Shadow men, hat men, crawlers, strangers. None matched exactly. Most vanish if challenged. Mine escalated. Posts talked about filming them, facing them, or banishing with salt. Desperation breeds gullibility. By noon, my threshold was white with Morton's finest. Monday, 3rd period, thunderheads bruised the sky again. Mid-lecture, the classroom lights pulsed. Glass at the back of the room reflected us. Rows of desks, bored students, and behind them, in the doorway, him. I froze. A student giggled. I spun. Doorway empty. Heart hammered like fists on skin. I dismissed class early, feigned migraine, vomited in the staff bathroom sink. When I lifted my head, the mirror fogged over, though faucet ran cold. 5 words etched in condensation. He belongs to me now. Water dripped from the tap, erasing each letter. I took unpaid leave that afternoon. I fled to my sister's condo across town. Took only a backpack and the knife. Amanda joked I was paranoid until porch cam pinged at 1:11 a.m. Front lawn camera this time. He stood beneath the maple, barely discernible in night vision. Amanda saw too. Color drained from her. He's so flat, she whispered. We phoned police. They swept the yard, nothing. Yet prints remained in dew. Perfect outlines of dress shoes, toes pointed toward the house. Officers left. Amanda insisted we sleep in shifts. At 3:30, she shook me awake, eyes saucer wide. The living room window pane bowed inward, as though pressed by great weight, glass shimmering but unbroken. No figure outside, just the sense of one. Days blurred, hospitals, panic attacks, priests, no exorcisms for faceless stalkers, and psych consults, anxiety disorder. Only the cameras offered truth. Each night he visited different angles, alley cam, stair cam, laundry room cam, always approaching but never breaching. I studied movement and saw a pattern. He followed the route I took that first night. Bar to bodega, to station to my door. Like a record groove, he replayed that path on loop, tighter each time, as though erasing distance between memory and flesh. I decided to break it, retrace the path, confront him mid-loop. Wednesday twilight, I left Amanda's with 3 GoPros strapped to chest, back, and head. Rain returned, misting streetlights into halos. I walked Dutchman Avenue past Riley's. No sign. Inside the bodega, I nodded to the cashier who smelled like cloves. Shelves hummed under fluorescence. When I exited, he waited across asphalt, half lit by the busted lamp that birthed him days earlier. Camera LEDs blinked. I stepped forward. He mirrored. Another step. We closed distance until parked cars formed canyons of shadow. He towered mere feet away, body narrow as a doorframe. Up close I saw movement inside the void of his face, eddies like smoke trying to find form. Why me? I croaked. The smoke parted, revealing not a mouth but a cavernous hush. Inside it I glimpsed the blurred crosswalk, the subway car, my front door, of my house, moments replaying on infinite loop. He was a projector and screen in one, stitched from the memory of being witnessed. I turned and ran. Subway entrance yawned. I thundered downward. Past midnight, platforms exhaled emptiness. He reached the turnstile without paying, oozing through metal bars like ink. I sprinted down the tunnel, rails glittering treacherous. At a maintenance alcove, I planted a tripod, aimed the camera into black. Adrenaline roared. I screamed, "Take me then!" Echoed by concrete. His silhouette emerged, distortions warping fluorescent gloom. He approached until the lens filled with shadow. I hit record. Flashlight flared, drenching him in white. For the first time he recoiled, edges shivering. Light revealed seams, creases where his form peeled like burnt paper. I stepped closer, beam steady. His chest caved inward, shriveling, until the overcoat slithered empty to the floor, dissolving to soot that hissed between rail ties. I stood in complete silence. Sunrise found me on a platform bench, cameras dead, clothes crusted with rail dust. I staggered home. Footage recovered only white static and my voice shouting. No silhouette, no dissolution. Porch cam logs remained blank. But the scratches on the door of my house deepened overnight. Circles etched clear through veneer into splintering wood. I patched them, painted over, yet the grain beneath ascends like scars. Some nights, I smell rain. Those skies are star-hard. Street lamps flicker. Shadows smear. I sense a groove under my feet, the city's path worn thin by repetition. Somewhere a figure paces, waiting for the loop to close again. And I keep cameras rolling, not to prove he exists, but to watch the spaces he leaves behind.